Virtual Grip Network welcomes you to the Guys Using Sim Racing or NASCAR Rules for Sim Racing B Series Championship presented by Red Button Box at the virtual Phoenix International Raceway for their season finale where a champion will be crowned. Last night we saw Nick Snyder win the championship in the Cup Series season, and tonight he is a Final Four contestant, however, ineligible to win that championship, so there'll be 3 drivers left to fight for that spot. And I am Kenny Kibbe here, joined by JR Shepard in the booth, and for commentary tonight. JR, we're back at Phoenix again for another night of racing. What can you tell the fans about this track in case anybody missed out last night?
Yeah, well, Kenny, this is a great track to run on. It's a 1 mile D-shaped oval where you have the dog leg on the front stretch. Banking's anywhere from 0 degrees up to 11 because they're definitely going to be using the apron tonight for sure. This track was reconfigured the last time back in 2018, and it produces a new dynamic to the track, allowing drivers to really cut that front stretch dog leg, especially when they're in the heat of battle side-by-side racing somebody. And that's going to allow them to gain a couple of tenths of a second on the guy they're racing. It's very interesting, very cool thing to do, but it can upset the cars. Going down there, it's very slick, very dirty. Be interesting to watch. Hopefully nobody has any problems tonight with a little bit less horsepower, but we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure.
Definitely, and also a larger field tonight than we had last night. We'll get back to that later on. But yeah, there's one faster pair in this race. 3 sets of tires are sitting in the pits. A decently long race, not quite as long as last night's, but still a decently long race. JR, what do you think will be kind of pit strategy tonight with those limited amount of tires, 100-lap race tonight? We saw a lot of strategy last night. What do you expect today?
I think like you said, we're looking at 3 sets of tires. You take a look at that. That's about a 25-lap run. That's not bad at all for these cars. I don't think the times are going to drop off a ton, so I think you're going to be able to go pretty hard in this race compared to last night. I think that's going to be the name of the game, is get track position and try to go hard.
Very good. Well, there is a look at your championship 4. You have Brad Lane, Reggie Packard, Eric Shearer, and Nick Snyder. Again, Nick Snyder won the championship in the Cup race last night. Ineligible to win that tonight because there's a rule in this league where if you win 1 championship in a year, that's it. That's all you can win. He can get second place in points, though, so there is something to fight for. And the rest of the 3 drivers in that group were in the race last night. JR, quick question for you. Do you think that helped those guys getting that experience on the track last night?
Oh, most definitely. I think anytime you can get seat time on a particular track, it's going to be good for you. It's going to help you get into a rhythm faster, see those braking points that you need to be accustomed to during the race. So I definitely think that these guys have an advantage. And of course, they're the guys racing for the championship. So it's going to be pretty evenly stacked, I think, just because they've all participated in it last night. But, with Nick Snyder out, I've got to say I think Brad Lane's probably going to be the favorite coming into this.
Definitely got P2 in the race last night. So we look at some action on track in practice. Want to quickly say that the B Series is sponsored by Red Button Box, making quality 16-button boxes for iRacing and most racing simulators since 2018. 3D printed in the UK. Check them out at facebook.com/red-button-box. Heading out to the track right now. I mentioned it earlier, JR, a lot bigger field tonight, well over 20 cars. Some guys race every week here. Some guys are kind of in for a one-off, and that's going to make for some interesting racing tonight.
Yeah, most definitely. So, these guys that have raced with each other all season long, they're used to how each other race. They know how they can push one another and how much room to give one another. You start racing with guys that you're not familiar with, it doesn't take much for a mistake to happen. So these championship 4, they're going to have to be on their game, keep their eyes open, and pay close attention to what's going on around them, because you just never know with somebody that you haven't raced with a whole lot.
Definitely, and it's kind of magnified. It's one thing to race against people for the first time in a league that you're not used to, but the stakes are the highest that they're ever going to be in this league on tonight's race, with it being a championship event. So that kind of magnifies the whole dynamic of, being worried about who are you racing with, because the consequences can be very great for those three that are fighting for that championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, another thing is that, again, we got guys doing one-off races here. Their whole goal is to go out and try to win this race. So I think you're going to see more aggressive racing, guys that are not going to probably offer as much as respect as they did last night in the Cup Series. So we'll have to pay attention. Again, these guys are just going to have to be on the top of their game tonight and pay attention to what's going on around them.
Looking at the practice board right now, Brad Lane, who you mentioned earlier, JR, is P1 on the practice board with a 27.583. That's a pretty good time. Only two guys have managed to get into the 27.5s. Jerry, you think that single lap speed is going to really play a factor here? I mean, you did mention that these guys are probably going to drive a little bit more aggressively than maybe the Cup guys were. So maybe that single lap speed is a little more indicative of how their car's going to run in the race.
Yeah, I think definitely if you can hit that single lap speed, you know the line that you need to run around the track. You know how to get the most out of the car. You're going to need that single run speed on every restart, because I think you're going to have to go hard. You're going to have to get everything you can those opening laps while the tires are fresh. After that, you can kind of settle in, slow down a little bit, just run your pace and maintain a gap that you have. But yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be one of those races where you're just going to have to go hard tonight.
Taking a look at the 23 of Sebastian Marin right now, going through the dog leg. Actually saw some cars earlier. A little miscommunication on their line going through the dog leg. One guy went up after cutting it, and the other guy was going down to cut it, and they smashed into each other. How much do you think that dog leg's going to play a factor in guys getting together, especially again with this much larger field tonight? It's going to get crowded.
Yeah, exactly. Last night we didn't have as many cars. Everybody could kind of see where everyone was at. When you start getting into a larger field and everybody goes a little bit crazy, especially on restarts, cutting that dog leg, it's hard to tell where guys are around you. You can be 3 or 4 wide at times. So, yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some contact at some point tonight that's going to be incidental, but it could have big consequences.
For sure, and contact leads to cautions, and cautions are going to lead to possible pit stops. And we saw some crazy strategy last night with guys, wondering if they were going to make it on fuel. And we were talking a little bit earlier before the broadcast of these guys might be able to. I think they'll still have to make a pit stop, but if we go green from the stage break all the way until the end, what do you think strategy is going to be like? Not saying we will go green to the end, but you got to play the what if game, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. These Xfinity cars, they don't have as much horsepower. So if you nurse that rear tire, I mean, I'm thinking that you may be able to go a really long time and still run good lap times. So we know that they're going to have a stage break on lap 25. We know that with the tire sets that they have and the limited amount of laps, that everybody's probably going to take 4 tires at that point. I don't think anybody's going to do anything too crazy. We believe they'll have to make another pit stop because of the fuel. So, I think the guys up front are probably going to run until somebody starts to pit, and it's probably going to be somebody that's within that top 5 that's going to draw them to pit road. So, if I'm the leader, I'm staying out as long as I can, going long until I start to see somebody pit. Unless, everybody's just nose to tail, and then it's going to come down to whoever can get in first and get the undercut.
Less than a minute left in practice now, and we're going to head over to qualifying soon. And we thought it was interesting that we noticed last night that qualifying was open. You get 5 minutes. Everybody gets to go on the track at the same time. Well, that was fine and dandy with about 12 people, but there's almost 30 cars in this session. How is that going to play a factor? I mean, that could be huge in determining your lap time.
It's going to be big, I believe. So it's going to be hard to find an open place to run. That's when you get the most out of your car. The fastest lap time is when you can run the line that you want to run and not get distracted by anyone. So it's going to be tough on these guys to find some open track. You may even see some guys go out very late or go very early. Just try to find when the track has got the least amount of people on it.
Definitely. We take a quick look at John Furness. That's a really cool Haviline throwback paint scheme he's running tonight. As practice ends, Brad Lane is at the top of the board at the end of practice, and we'll start qualifying. And we'll see what these guys do here. We'll see how much courtesy is going to be given to these drivers, especially the Championship 4, but really you try to stay out of everybody's way. But yet you want to be selfish in this qualifying. You got to get some space, and this is only a 1 mile track. So like you said earlier, it's going to be tough to find an opening. But the good thing is you have seemingly unlimited attempts here. You don't have to have just 2 laps. You can go out and take as many attempts as you want. You just have to jam it into 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see some of the guys that we expect to be fast, like Brad. They're already out on the track. They're going to try to get that banker lap in, if you will. Try to get a very good lap. If they ended up getting caught by traffic or something, they're going to come back in and make another attempt. So it's one of these things. I think track position is going to be very important. So everybody's going to try to get everything they can out of this. If you can start up front, you got a very good chance of being able to stay there.
Lucas Leone at the moment at the top of the board with a 32.922. And nobody else. So there, Nick Snyder. Yeah, Nick Snyder with a good lap.
I'm still waiting on somebody in qualifying to take that high line through 3 and 4 and then duck down and onto the apron. There's extra time to be gained there. You can't do it in the race because it allows a guy to get underneath you, and it just messes up everything that you're trying to accomplish. But during qualifying, if you go high through 3 and 4 here and then duck all the way down to the bottom, there's extra lap time that can be gained other than what you're gaining from just cutting the dog leg to begin with.
Yeah, so I had to gain my bearings there for a second with how many lap times were coming in all at once there. John Furness now up to the top of the board with a 27.631. Brad Lane, again, who we kept mentioning earlier, he is up in P2. Nick Snyder right behind him in third place with a 27.744. This is the look at the 23 machine as he crosses the start-finish line. It's just it's utter chaos here in this group qualifying. There's so much different stuff to watch, and what do you think, JR? You put on a really good lap time. Do you sit and wait and see if you're going to get beaten, or do you think that maybe you can get a little bit more out of what you got, even though you had a good time?
Honestly, I think you got to keep making attempts, keep trying things, run different lines, just make some small changes to see if you can gain a little bit more on the lap time you've already thrown down. Unless you were just able to go out and set the world on fire with a lap, I don't think you can afford to sit around and wait and see what plays out here.
I'm noticing too few drivers are being removed from the server, probably drivers not involved in the series, so we may end up having a slightly smaller field than what we've expected based on the practice board, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. But as we run here, you got cars side by side qualifying. Nick Snyder pulling off to the side there, but still drivers are out with about a minute and a half left in qualifying. Another thing I want to mention too, JR, I noticed the track temp has dropped 2 degrees just since we started covering practice here. How much do you think that's going to play a factor in these lap times coming down and the tire wear going down?
Yeah, it's going to help out a ton. So normally this track is hot, very, very slicked. You got a sandy top surface that kind of goes over the track when cars aren't running on it. So it's definitely going to help the grip level go up. And, if that continues to happen during the race, we're probably going to see some really good side-by-side racing. It's going to open up the amount of grooves that you're going to be able to run.
So look at Sebastian Marin again in the third position at the moment, cutting through the dog leg. Nice looking Fanatec scheme.
Yep, absolutely. And, there's, what we got, 3 guys right now that are in the 2760s. I think those are going to probably be the guys that are going to make it into the top of the field. I don't know if anybody can really challenge for that at this moment, but guys are still attempting.
Yep, still have 20 seconds, but I think if you have not started your pit or your lap now, you're not going to get a chance to finish qualifying. So some of these guys out on track are pretty much irrelevant as far as their time, but they're getting time on the track to ride on board with the number 18 machine. That's Robinson. He might be about the last guy to finish the lap he was on, and qualifying is over. John Furness will get the pole position with Brad Lane sharing the front row.
Yeah, very impressive lap from John Furness there. We'll see if he's got the race pace to keep up with Brad. We know for sure that he's going to be fast based on what we saw last night.
Yeah, you know, Furness is one guy that we didn't see last night, so it'll be interesting to see how he races against these championship contenders. Let's look at Gavin Rogers. These guys still running some little laps after the time has expired. There it goes. And we'll grid up here. And we'll set the grid for the B Series finale here. We got John Furness on the pole. He'll be flanked by Brad Lane in second. Sebastian Marin will be in third, followed by Teddy Hodgson. Jordan Tanzel, another driver we saw last night, will be in fifth place, followed by Nick Snyder, last night's champion. Gavin Rogers will be in seventh, followed by Dylan Hervatin in eighth. Lucas Leone will be in ninth, followed by Ryan Blanchard in 10th. JR?
Yep, and then we have Mikael Robinson in 11th place. Logan Green coming home in 12th. 13th, we have Ryan Cliver. 14th, we have Bill Petroff. And 15th, we have Chris Gilbert. 16th, Eric Scherer, one of our contenders tonight. 17th is Reggie Packard. He's another one of the contenders for the championship. 18th, we have Michael Wilcox. 19th is Anthony Gaudio. 20th is Parker McDonald. 21st, we have Trey Holmes. 22nd, Shane Ladewig. 23rd, we have Ralph Blair. And 24th, we have Christopher Basinger.
Yeah, some of these guys towards the back may be disconnected. We'll say their names anyways. We have Stephen Magoo in 25th, Thomas Haley in 26th, Shane Williams will be 27th, DJ Thomas 28th, Jason Leistman in 29th, and Garrett Shiver 30th. I think somewhere around P24-ish. I think some of those drivers are disconnected from the server, but just in case they end up racing, we'll acknowledge them. Having a little driver's meeting here on pit lane before we get going. And what are your expectations here, JR, on this start? You know, you got some of the championship contenders starting way deep in the field. If you're one of those guys, what's your thinking here starting off this race deep in the field with a lot of unknown drivers?
Yeah, if I'm Brad Lane, I'm feeling very good about myself being able to start second place. These other guys, you know, we've got Eric and Reggie having to start in the back. I'm going to be a little bit concerned, and I'm probably going to be very tentative on this restart or on the start of the race. I need to figure out what these other drivers are doing around me and how aggressive they're going to race me before I start trying to move forward.
For sure, there's going to be a lot of action on this on this initial start. Only one pace lap here at Phoenix International Raceway, one of the smallest tracks that does only do one pace lap. Kind of a sunset type start here for tonight. Track temps all the way down to 89 degrees. We'll keep an eye on that. But these guys pacing down the new backstretch at Phoenix, at the updated Phoenix and iRacing. Coming around to take the initial green flag. We'll see how clean of a start that we can have here. John Furness will bring him down to the green. We'll watch for no lane changes here. The green flag is out. And we are green for the B Series championship finale at Phoenix. These guys already spreading out 3-4 wide as we dive down into turn one, JR.
Yeah, you can see them. Everybody's fanned out. They're trying to get back into a double file line. Some of the guys going way up top. Some of the guys right against the inside line. Trying to look for that grip right now early in the race. I think, we see a couple of guys bouncing off the wall there, Kenny. Yeah,
it looked like Nick Snyder got into the wall off of turn two. And he's going to recover, but he definitely had to straighten it out there. Good job not coming down into Gavin Rogers, who was next to him at the time, causing even more chaos. But yeah, we talked about it last night. You don't want to get right side damage, right, JR?
Yeah, absolutely. Once you open up that gap between the hood and the fender, you're going to start to push. And I think we already got a caution out.
Yeah, Nick Snyder got into the wall there. Not sure if that was the cause of the caution, but he got into the wall again. No, there was more contact down into 3 and 4 with Snyder in another car there. That was Mikhail Robinson that they got together with Snyder. I don't know if that was the cause of the caution or if that was something else, but definitely an early spin here and some early drama for Snyder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, the good thing for Snyder, he's won a championship last night. He's out here for fun. He's trying to win the race. So he can go hard. He can try a lot of different things and may have just overpressed his limits there a little bit. But, also, Kenny, they get a faster pair. So if you have nothing to lose, you may be able to go hard, damage your car, you can come in and get it fixed.
I was going to ask about that. Having a faster pair in this league as opposed to last night's Cup Series league, how is that going to change your mentality? Are you going to, you still have to, it's a long race and you don't want to necessarily use up that faster pair right away, but are you kind of thinking, I can kind of bonsai this and see if my move will work? Are you increasing your aggressiveness?
I think you have two mindsets here. I think if you're in the championship 4, you're going to want to do everything you can to protect your car because you want to save that faster pair in case something crazy ends up happening to you and you get in a wreck that's got nothing to do with anything you had to do with. So I think they're going to be conservative. I think everybody else is probably going to be doing the opposite and just going hard because they know, hey, if I wreck, I can come get a faster pair, I'll have a new car and come back out on the track.
Nick Snyder did come in for a pit stop. I'm not sure if he took a faster pair. He did take a faster pair. Missed his pit box, but he came in, got a new car. So keep that in mind. He has now used his faster pair already on lap 3.
Yeah, and I don't think he has anything to lose. He's out here to go hard and try to win the race. So he's going to use what he has to early, and he'll just see what happens. I'm sure if he gets in a wreck here in a little bit or something happens, he'll probably just call it quits because like we said earlier, he's got his championship. He's happy for the season.
For sure. It looks like we had 18 entrants finalized in this. Dylan Hervatin, though, quickly to disconnect, so he's out. So we're down to 17 cars. Still a much decently larger field compared to last night's event, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as Nick Snyder, he'll be starting 16th on this restart, but John Furness leads him down the backstretch. He now has control of the field. He has Sebastian Marin there looking back at Marin right now in the 3rd position. These guys maybe playing a little bit of games on the restarts, JR?
Yeah, probably a little bit of moving around and just trying to get the best launch that you can, catching somebody off guard. And I think you're definitely going to see everybody fan out to the inside again, and it seems like it's hard to get away from each other in these Xfinity cars.
Yep, we are green again, and Furness didn't get the greatest jump compared to the guys around him, but he is going to clear into turn 1. Ooh, and we are tight 3 wide. That's Teddy Hodgson on the bottom. You got Gavin Rogers up there at the top side, narrowly missing the outside wall. Lucas Leone was kind of sticking his nose in there, driving the 54-looking car. Ooh, sideways is Teddy Hodgson. He's going to save it as we got a battle for the lead between the 28, John Furness, and Jordan Tanzel, who we saw last night.
Yeah, Tanzel was definitely one of the players last night in the race. Didn't get the finish he wanted, but yeah, I expect him to be able to move up through the field here. Probably going to be able to take this lead, but he's got some work to do. He's going to have to work over the leader a little bit. Well, I think he's got it here.
Oh, he does have the lead, and we have another big wreck down the backstretch. Ryan Blanchard was one of the cars at the focal point of that, the number 9 car. We'll take a look at it here. Looking at it from Eric Shearer. Yeah, you see the 9 car get up in the wall and just couldn't get off of it until he rebounded. Wow, that's a violent wreck. Multiple cars involved. We'll have to take a look and see if any of the championship contenders were involved in that. That was a multi-car accident.
I believe Eric Shearer was involved in that. In that one, I believe I saw him turning around on the track there.
Wow, a good job by Nick Snyder getting through that one. He really weaved through there. Remember we just talked about he just took his faster pair, so he doesn't have that. And he also has bad track position. Look at him. Watch him feed the needle here. Narrowly misses everything. I mean, that could have been race over for him right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing about racing, it's not just about being fast or being good at a particular track you're at. You also have to have a lot of luck playing into it. So, that may be an omen there that may show that he's got luck on his side, and he's going to be moving toward the front.
For sure. We're having multiple cars coming down pit lane now. We got a slow-mo replay here. So we look at that number 9 car up into the outside wall. It looks like he tried to keep the car actually up by the wall and out of the way, but he kind of rebounded off, sent down into the 17 of Teddy Hodgson, and Hodgson had nowhere to go, and he tumbles down the backstretch here at Phoenix. And but he will have that faster pair, but a lot of these guys now towards the back, I would assume, have taken a faster pair and have pitted at least one time. But let's go back up to the front. Jordan Tanzel, what a pass that was that he made on the outside. How important do you think that'll be?
Yeah, that was pretty big. That showed a lot of strength early. He's moved up 4 places already, so very impressive out of Jordan. I think he's probably going to try to take control of this race, but he's going to have to be protective on this restart. He's going to have to make sure he gets a good launch, make sure that he covers the inside.
Definitely. As we looks like the lights are out on the pace car, we're going to go green this time by. Jordan Tanzel will be on the bottom side. John Furness will be starting on his flank this time. Marin, remember, he got a really good jump on the last restart. He'll be in third again. And then the current championship leader, Brad Lane, will be in 4th place. Really quickly, Logan Green, a guy I've noticed, has moved up through the field. He's up 12th to 7th. Chris Gilbert, who also raced yesterday, he's up 6 spots as well, 15th to 9th. Michael Wilcox up 8 spots from 18th to 10th. So some early movers up through the field so far as we come down to take the green flag.
Yeah, definitely. Experience from last night seems to be playing a big role here. I think those guys are probably going to continue to do what they're doing, and the guys that don't have that experience, they're going to have to learn quick.
Well, that was a very even jump. John Furness actually beats the leader to the line there. Don't know how clean they're going to deem that. We'll see. They're going to battle down into turn 1 side by side, and they're 2 by 2 for the first few rows. Oh, man.
Yep, everybody's still having issues coming off of turn 2. This car seems, the setup that's in it seems like it's very tight coming off of 2. It's playing a big role tonight. Everybody's going to have to pay attention to that. Looks like we've single filed back out front with John Furness taking back over the lead there.
Yeah, that got really tight off of turn 2. I mean, there were multiple guys just not giving each other a whole lot of room. Mirror contact there. Ryan Blanchard going after some spots, being really aggressive on the bottom. That accident from the last caution is not slowing him down any. He's probably got fresh tires on that car after that incident. So looks like here he goes diving down to the bottom against Nick Snyder, and he's on the bottom 3 wide, diving down into turn 1 and 2, and he's going to clear for that. Good use of the apron there, don't you think, JR?
Yeah, absolutely. I expect, especially in these cars, more people to start using that apron through turns 1 and 2. It's really going to help the car rotate. The car obviously appears to be tight, so you got to use that apron to help the car get through the corner better.
For sure. Now he has a little bit of space. He's going to start running down these leaders in front. Taking a look at Lucas Leone with a battle for 8th, the back portion of the top 10, I should say. Battles all over the place. Leone leaves the bottom open. Think about that, JR. If you prefer running the top line, and you got guys that are wanting that bottom line, you got guys side by side behind you, is that conscious in your mind that you might put yourself into a 3-wide situation?
Yeah, for sure. If it's just somebody behind you and they continue to run the low line, you're not even thinking about them. You're just focused on your high line that you're running. When you see 2 guys approach you and they're both trying to get underneath you, that's when you start to get a little bit worried, especially after all the contact that we've seen off of turn 2 so far. So going to have to keep an eye on it. If you feel like you're in a bad position, you're going to have to be ready to pull out quickly.
Look at Ryan Blanchard. Blanchard's cutting his way through the field. He's up into the 6th position. There's Nicholas Snyder. He's settled, I'd say. He's now in 6th, I should say. Yeah, he's now in 6th. Blanchard's now in 5th. Sebastian Marin up towards the front. He's been solidly in 3rd place basically this whole race. and he's settled in. And these guys up in the front, you know, they're sort of getting single filed out, at least the top 3 or 4 spots. Are you kind of more of racing the racetrack at this point in the run?
I think you are right now, trying to figure out what your car has and what you need to be able to do for the end of the race. Again, these guys can't adjust on their setup, so they're going to have to move around the track, figure out what works and what doesn't work, so they know what to do later on.
That is a good thing to note. I'm not sure if we said earlier, it's a fixed setup event that these guys run. Now, we do have the competition caution, or the stage break, I should say, approaching in less than 10 laps. It'll be lap 25 when we'll have that. John Furness currently has a slim lead over Jordan Tanzel, but Tanzel looking now down to the inside as we enter turn 1 and 2. And Tanzel using that bottom line, the yellow line, in fact, to try to make a move, but just isn't there. Do you think we've already reached the point where the bottom is kind of going away?
Yeah, these guys are putting on some great racing. It's good to see, but I think you're correct. I think with these lower horsepower cars, with the grip level that we have here tonight, that's a little bit higher than last night. I think that high line is going to prevail. You're just going to be able to keep your momentum up and drive down the straightaway ahead of the guy.
Caution on the racetrack. Looks like the 54 Lucas Leone was involved. We'll go down into turn 3 and 4. Oh, he actually misjudged his entry and slams into the inside wall and then gets clobbered by the 26 car, Bill Petroff. That was an unfortunate series of events for the 54 car.
Yeah, that was definitely rough. Let me bring up a point here, though, Kenny. So we know that the stage break was coming up at lap 25. This is before that. You think we're going to see some strategy here?
Yeah, we definitely could. I mean, we see it all the time in real life as we're riding on board Lucas Leone. This will be interesting to see. And bam, into the inside wall, bam, into the outside wall, and then smash. But yeah, I mean, it could be... We could definitely see some takers as we do. It seems to be a split strategy. Now, remember, we saw some guys pit earlier, too, on the last caution. So, you know, that's going to split the field up even more. John Furness is one of the notables who is in the pit lane. So we'll see what these guys do here as they come on down. And obviously, we won't see these guys pit when the stage break happens. And I expect a guy like John Furness to come through the field, but with how this race has been so far... you know, what are your thoughts as far as, you know, coming back through the field and trying to avoid the chaos that's been going on?
Yeah, if I'm one of these guys that's pitting right now and getting tires, I'm going to try to conserve what I have until the stage break, but at the same time, I want to stay ahead of everybody that's pitted. So you're going to run only as hard as what you need to. I'm a little concerned about, we got Brad Lane that looks like he stayed out here. He's one of the championship contenders. I figure he's probably thinking about pitting on lap 25. That's going to put him back in some traffic. So that'll be probably the more interesting story to see how that plays out.
So takers on pit road there were Tanzel, Marin, Hodgdon, Shearer, Furness, and Petrov obviously pitted for damage. Looks like Tanzel may have taken 2 tires, only a 7-second stop. The rest of the guys appeared to have taken 4. John Furness actually stayed in his pit for quite a long time for whatever reason, but we shall see how these guys will file out here, and it looks like we're doubling up to go green next time by.
Yeah, I kind of expect Brad to be a little bit conservative here. There's nothing to gain for him by winning this stage other than track position, but I think he's going to lose some of that when he pits on lap 25. I think Nick Snyder's probably going to go very hard. He's going to try to get everything he can.
We'll have to keep an eye on Jordan Tanzel and, well, especially guys like Sebastian Marin, the first guy on fresh tires. He'll be back in about the 10th position as we restart here. Got some new guys up in the front. Well, Lane and Snyder, I shouldn't say new guys in the front, new for this race, but definitely experienced when it comes to being in the front of this league. And but again, Ryan Blanchard is behind them. He pitted a caution or 2 ago for his fast repair. See what happens here as Brad Lane will restart him. A little bit of contact there between him and the 9 car behind him. So dive down onto the dogleg. Again, the outside line seems to be preferring or getting a good jump on the restarts. Maybe the second place driver is being a little bit aggressive, but they're at least able to get away with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. We know that they have lower horsepower cars here tonight, but I think they may be getting quite a bit of wheel spin on the restarts, and the leader's just not getting that good launch on the inside lane.
Now remember, in this league, you can cut down low on the dog leg, but you have to wait until you pass the start-finish line. No lane changes before then. But I'm surprised that the leaders haven't been as aggressive at doing that. It's kind of leaving themselves open to being challenged as we have a big battle going on. A little bit of contact in the wall. The 28, oh, it's John Furness down into the inside wall after that contact. He's going to keep it going, but damage to both sides of his number 28 Haviland machine after that contact. A really good save by him, and we do have another caution.
Yeah, that's what we were all worried about. Guys with fresh tires being a lot faster than the guys that stayed out trying to come through the field. It produces a big gap in speed, and contact was made.
So that's going to be the stage end. That's all that the caution was for there. So kind of makes sense as to why there was so much urgency through the field. But look at that. John had such a great car, still has a great car, I think, but now it's kind of a setback there. Now he's got damage, not the greatest track position. Does that kind of get in your mind at all, JR, when something happens like that, when you got a really fast car?
Yeah, it's frustrating, man, when something like that happens and you knew that you were somebody that could contend for the win. But it's something that you got to get out of your head fast. You got to put it away. You got to go back to the job at hand, focus on what you need to do, take care of your car, get it fixed. And then, obviously there's going to be a little bit of strategy, I think, coming in if we have a long green flag run. So he's got to be thinking ahead to that and what he needs to do to get track position.
So to my surprise, quite a few drivers coming in here, even some of the drivers that pitted on the last caution. Looks like only around 4 or 5-ish cars have stayed out on the track. Snyder and Lane are obviously in. Marin is back in, though, for a pit service, which is a little bit surprising to me. Does that surprise you, JR, that some of the guys that pitted just a few laps ago are back in again?
A little bit, but at the same point, we know that they can't go all the way on fuel. So maybe some guys took tires on the last pit stop and they're taking fuel only here just to make sure that they're topped off and that they can go as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, it does look like Marin just took a 5-second pit stop, so that's definitely just a fuel-only stop. But it looks like the rest of the guys, Furness may have only taken his fast repair. I'll get a good look at his car here in a second. Yeah, it looks like he did take a fast repair, but everybody else looks like they took 4 tires. Michael Wilcox is still in the pits, probably for more damage repair for himself. But yeah, so we'll reset the field here, and Ryan Blanchard will be up in the front. We saw him make really aggressive maneuvers. How hard do you think he's going to be fighting to stay on the lead lap? Or not the lead lap, but in the lead on this restart? He's got slightly older tires, and we saw his aggressive style early on. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, I think he's going to go hard. He's here to get the win. He's been fast. He's had a good car, so I expect him to do everything he can to try to maintain the best track position possible until the next round of pit stops. Another guy to keep an eye on, though, is Chris Gilbert from last night. He's moved up 11, maybe 12 spots at the moment, so he's very fast also. He's here for the win. I think he'll be aggressive also on this restart.
I hear some guys on the game chat radio talking about keeping pace speed, because the leader has to keep control of the field here for quite some time before they actually get to fire off. And it looks like Ryan Blanchard going a little bit faster than the field, but he slowed back down. Here he comes around turn 3 and 4, and he will take the green in a really good launch from the 9 car, as he will be well clear going down into turn 1, and it'll be 2x2 behind him.
Yep, interesting. He took the outside lane on that restart. We saw the outside play out better. I think that's something the leader's going to have to pay attention to on future restarts here.
They were about 4 wide there for a moment. Those Ryan Cliver was in there. Mikkel Robinson was in there. They've mostly sorted it out. There's still some 2x2 action in 3 and 4. That's Chris Gilbert in the Mobile 1 machine that we talked about earlier, making some moves on Sebastian Marin, who's been fast all night tonight. Marin looking through the middle here as Blanchard actually lost the lead there a couple corners ago. Ooh, it's getting tight off of turn 2, and we got a wreck, a huge wreck. This is going to block the track.
Yeah, like we said earlier, we thought that he would be aggressive on these restarts, Blanchard, and I think he was doing everything he could to maintain track position, and it just got 3 wide and got very tight real quick.
Yeah, you know, I saw Marin go after that middle space to make it 3 wide, and I just started wondering there. Blanchard moved out of the groove and then came back down into the groove. Obviously, you don't want to smash into the outside wall, so I understand him coming down. Just, what do you think? Just, you know, too many drivers and not enough space?
Yeah, exactly. It's very tight race, and everybody's trying to get everything they can. And you know, there's points where you don't know for sure that you're 3 wide. You probably think you have 1 car to your outside or 1 to your inside, and you're trying to run that line in your head that you know that you need to run to get the best pace off the corner. And contact was just made. They just all came together.
So Brad Lane, he had some heavy damage in that. That's one of our championship drivers was involved in that. I'm kind of going through the injury list here as you know, these guys try to make it through. We'll see a bunch of people are in the pits as well, and man, Nick Snyder did a great job again of avoiding at least most damage on that one, but he's got to be counting his lucky stars here early on. I think he's got 9 lives.
Yeah, and I think Brad Lane is still up top on the championship list at the moment, even with that contact. But that was what I was worried about. Him not pitting right before lap 25 and then coming in and getting tires. We knew that he was going to be at least mid-pack during this, and we've seen it in all of these restarts that we've had so far. It's very crazy on the restarts. Everybody's going 3, 4 wide, moving around, trying to get just a little bit of an advantage over the guy that they're racing. And you know, when you do that, you know, accidents are going to happen.
So looking through that, every single championship contender was involved in that wreck. Reggie Packard was probably had the minimal amount of damage. Just got into the back of another car in front of him, spun him out, and then hit Ryan Blanchard, I believe, when he was stopped on the track. But then Eric Shearer came through at the back of this, and he slammed into Blanchard as well, and had to stop his car. And yeah, Lane got spun out. I mean, this is drama for every single playoff finalist here. I mean, at this point, does it kind of get to a point where it's just survival?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of that, and I think that's why we saw Brad be a little bit conservative earlier. I think he had a car that could be, you know, in the top 2 for sure, but we saw him drop back to around 5th or 6th, and I think he was just trying to survive and get to the end of the race before he really tried to push the car. Now he's going to be in the opposite position. I think he's going to have to try to go hard to get some track position here. And you know, at the moment, Brad is 2nd in our championship run. Reggie's actually overtaking him, running in 8th place right now.
That is interesting. Reggie was running towards the back at the beginning of this one, but now is sitting in the catbird seat seemingly as we're about to go green again here on entering lap 34. Teddy Hodgson now in the lead with Gavin Rogers, who was slightly involved in that wreck and in 2nd place. And look at that, John Furness, just like that, is now back up to the top 3.
Hey, that's what being able to have a fast repair can do for you. You can get a new car. As long as you got speed, you can move back to the front, and he's making the most of it right now, challenging for 2nd.
As we'll know, we're down to 13 cars on the lead lap, and it looked like Beyond, about 6th place and Beyond, pitted on that last restart, so, or on that last caution. So a mixed bag of strategies going on here. Theoretically, we could go green to the end. We'll have to see how that plays out, but you know, another thing to think about, JR, I'm almost hearing, are some people shifting?
You know, it's a big possibility. Driving these cars here, it opens that up. Now, when you go to that shifting, you're going to have good throttle control, because if you don't, within 10 laps, you're going to make that right rear tire very angry, and you're just going to be sliding all over the place, especially going into the corner, which you don't think about. You wear those rear tires out, it doesn't just affect you coming off the corner when you have the throttle down, it can affect you going into the corner and get you loose.
Looking at the battle for P4, as we did just have a pass for the championship lead. That was Brad Lane picked up the 7th place spot over Reggie Packard. Those guys are running nose to tail right now, right behind this battle. with Gavin Rogers, Mikhail Robinson in there, Nick Snyder, all battling for that. Those are the first sets of side-by-side drivers. Nick Snyder dives to the bottom, will clear ahead of Mikhail Robinson, and they'll single file out. A lot smaller field at this point, down to 12 cars on the lead lap, as title contender Eric Shearer has gone a lap down, and he's actually in the pits, so that could be the end of Eric's championship hopes.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to unfortunately be that way. He's already 2 laps down, I believe, at this point, so he'll be out of it. That leaves 2 guys left. We'll have Brad Lane and Reggie Packard running 6th and 7th at the moment. I think those guys are probably going to try to protect each other a little bit, try to take care of each other, get this run through. We know that they're going to have to make another stop, and I think that's when we're going to see the real racing take place. We do see Nick Snyder. He's really charging, man, on this last restart. He's already up to 3rd. He's shadowing Jordan Tanzel right now, already looking at how he's going to make a move on him.
Yeah, you know, he is one of the drivers who did pit on lap 31, and he is the first guy who pitted on lap 31. The next closest is actually Brad Lane. So these guys have a slight tire advantage, about 5 laps over the guys who pitted on lap 26. But John Furness, I don't think he took tires when he last pitted. He just took a fast repair, and that was it. So he's going to have some slightly older tires. A good job by Furness to get out to the lead. And, you know, what do you think? Do you think if we go green for a while that he can keep this lead long enough for the tires to start equalizing and for him to stop losing so much time?
I think it's very possible for sure. Just looking at lap times right now, Nick Snyder is the fastest, but not by much. It's less than 1/10 of a second, so I believe those tires are going to continue to equalize out. As long as you're taking care of them, I think that John can be able to hold this track position.
Right on board with Nicholas Snyder right now in the P3 spot. Jordan Tanzel in that 2nd spot, trailing behind John Furness. These guys kind of breaking away, but you know, it was interesting. We saw Furness take the lead there momentarily, and now Tanzel's kind of all over the back of him now, but I'm thinking Snyder might grab both of these spots pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's very fast. We know that from last night. He knows this track very well. You see him searching around the track. He's doing a line that I thought we may see last night take place. He's kind of running that high line through 1 and 2 and then ducking back down low to get a run off. It looks like it's paying off on him here, so I know he's watching the guys in front. He's trying to see where their weaknesses are right now, and like you said, I think he's probably going to try to take a pass here in a few laps.
And you can definitely hear Nick Snyder shifting. I haven't really noticed anybody else doing that. He is definitely. Now, you talked about the throttle control. When you do that, do you think that, as we're riding on board with him again, do you think that that could, even if you are managing the throttle, accelerate the wear on your rear tires?
Yes, absolutely. You're turning more RPMs, you're putting more force, more load on those rear tires as you apply the throttle. Even if you're not spinning them, you're applying that extra force and that extra load. So it is going to accelerate the wear process on the tires. I don't know that it's going to be huge, especially with the temps coming down. It's getting dark out there. Track grip's going to pick up. So it's something to pay attention to. We'll see how Nick does, since we know for sure that he's shifting here. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as what we originally thought.
I was near contact there, but I noticed the track temp has kind of stabilized at 90 degrees as we have a side-by-side battle for second, near contact between the 9 and the 36. Snyder really wants these spots, and he's trying to make the bottom side work. Was running that high line. I do like him running the low line here in 3 and 4. I notice you can get good drive off the corner doing that, and there he goes. He's going to get the good drive off, cut the dog leg, and he's going to dive down into turn 1 and 2, and he's going to try to do a slide job here. Nicely done textbook pass there, and 36 maybe paid him back with a little bit of bumper contact, but all is well.
Yeah, great move there by Nick to overtake Jordan. You know, one thing I'm kind of observing here, Kenny, the cars look like they're a little bit free getting into the corner. I see guys kind of having to turn to the right a little bit, getting down in there. And then we know that the cars are tight coming off, so I think this is one of those setups where the car's free in, tight off. We know that Nick is shifting. If you have that tight exit, that shifting can free up your car. So he may have figured out something that's allowing him to keep his car more neutral than what everyone else is.
Look at Michael Wilcox there momentarily. I was keeping an eye on Reggie Packard, who's running 8th place. He ran behind Brad Lane for quite a while after Lane passed him, but he's since fallen off, or more so, Lane has started to work his way back through the field. He's up to the 5th spot. Packard has stabilized in 8th place, just kind of running behind Sebastian Marin and Teddy Hodgson at the moment. As we're looking at Teddy Hodgson, the 17, some pretty major rear-end damage to the 17 car. Do you think that spoiler damage, do you think that will really affect him at this track?
It can. These cars don't have a lot of downforce in the rear end anyway, so that could free the car up more so than what I think they already are having to deal with going into the corner. But at the same point, that could keep him free through the corner. This may actually be damage that helps his car handle better.
Good thing to think about there is Nick Snyder. He has taken the lead and he started to open up a gap. It's at least a quarter of a second now over John Furness, 0.4 of a second now. Snyder, he's kind of got all the cards in his favor. He's got the newest tires. He's got obviously a fast car. He's got experience that he had in the track, and he can kind of go for broke because of being a champion already. Don't mind the car 3rd in line there. That is Logan Green, 6 laps down. Fresh tires, you can definitely tell what fresh tires can do, as he has no front end on the car, but yet still able to make some good pace with the leaders.
Yeah, that's really impressive for sure. So yeah, tires are a big player here. We know that the pace is going to drop off. It's it's already dropped off. Looks like about a whole second. 1 whole second at this point. So if you have tires, even with some damage, you can charge through the field.
Here's a look back for 3rd and 4th. It looks like Jordan Tanzel's starting to fall into the clutches of some of the other drivers. Mikhail Robinson is the first one to challenge him, and both of these guys pitted on lap 26, so it's kind of interesting. Maybe Robinson saving the tires a little bit better than Tanzel. You think maybe Tanzel got a little greedy trying to fight for the lead and maybe burned his stuff up?
I do think that he did a little bit. At the same time, he doesn't always, when you're the leader and you're on a different strategy, you don't always know for sure who has new tires. So when he sees people like Jordan or Nick coming up on him, he's trying to stay ahead of them. He's trying to run as hard as he can to keep that position. And you just don't know. If somebody has tires, you need to just let them go. But you don't always know that, and you're trying to keep that position. I think he probably burned his stuff up a little bit, and it's showing here with what Robinson's able to do with him.
So Bill Petroff has pulled off the track and has disconnected for the night. So down to 11 cars left on the lead lap. Eric Shearer has returned to the track. He's 12 laps down in 14th place. So who knows, if somebody, if the championship guys wreck out, he is still out there. So it looks like we have about 13 cars left on the track, which is about what we started with last night. So, now we got a field that's relatively strung out. Ooh, a little bit of contact I'm actually seeing for the battle for 4th with Mikhail Robinson. He makes that pass. As we look behind, these guys kind of stacking up now because of that contact that was in 3 and 4. But now these guys are getting relatively strung out. You think guys are starting to think, man, maybe this is going to go green the rest of the way?
I definitely think so. We're down to 11 cars now. The chances of contact or a caution happen are continuing to drop. So these guys, I think, are settling in. They know it's going to be a long run. They're trying to figure out, I think, when they're going to make that pit stop, because more than likely it's going to come under green. And if you're one of these guys that's in the back here, maybe Brad running in 5th. He's got the championship lead. He can afford to be a little bit conservative. But I think he's probably going to think at the end of this race, I want to try to get the best possible finish I can have on the last night of the season. So he may try to pit a little bit early and try to leapfrog some of these guys, get the undercut.
Some more near contact. Hansel, oh, and there's caution. So there goes our green flag theory, as look like that was Logan Green, the lap down car, spins in 3 and 4. Looks like maybe a self spin. Yeah, he got too much on the apron and then overcorrected, shot up into the wall. Ooh, some near misses there. Mikkel Robinson came flying through there and was able to miss him. So now everybody resets. Everybody's down into pit lane. You expect a lot of 4-tire stops here, JR?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most of these guys still have a couple of sets left. They're going to come in, take tires. There's no reason not to. We're just past halfway. Like I said at the opening of the race, where we're approximating about every 25 laps, somebody could pit if they wanted to. So these guys are going to come in, top off, get 2 tires or get 4 tires, and probably be set to go the rest of the way, I think.
Yeah, I think these guys can definitely make it on fuel. Now, tires may become a question. But some of these guys may be taking their last set of tires here. I don't know. It's going to be close. Nick Snyder is out of his pit box, and it looks like John Furness has beat him out of the pit lane. So that's an interesting call there. He did take 4 tires, though, just a slow stop for the 2 car.
Yeah, Nick may have been doing some repairs without using a fast repair there. I think he probably had to use that early in the race, so he may have been just fixing the car a little bit. Took a little bit longer to take care of.
Looks like everybody who has made pit stops here did take 4 tires, so no 2-tire stops. Some cars taking time for some damage repair and things like that, but looks like lights are still on the pace car. It looks like it's going to be a 2 to green, so we are going green. This time by, the lights have just been shut off. They were telling me before the race these guys like to do quickie yellows sometimes, so we're going to double them up, and we're going to go green once again. It'll be lap 60 when we go green. And, basically a reset for a lot of these guys, right? You got everybody's basically on the same tire strategy at this point. You got a lot smaller field. What you're thinking on this restart, JR, if you're one of the guys in the lead or one of the guys in the middle of the pack?
I think if you're John or Nick up front, you're going to see these guys race it out, try to get the lead. Then they'll probably settle in for a few laps and just evaluate what each other has. The guys in the middle of the pack, I think you think you're going to see a mixed bag. You're going to see Brad and probably Reggie try to take it easy just to make sure they don't have any contact made.
Yeah, notice Reggie Packard was kind of hanging behind the pack, trying to stay nice and safe as we go green, cutting the dog leg once again. Down into turn 1 and 2, very even start by both lanes that time. John Furness and Nick Snyder have definitely proven they know what they're doing, as they're still side by side. Brad Lane trying to stick his nose in there. He is not afraid to mix it up with these guys, despite a championship on the line. And he's maybe getting held up by Nick Snyder a little bit out of turn 3 and 4. Good drive off, though, by Nick, and he's going to stay side by side with the 28 as we finish one green flag lap here, diving down into turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these guys look pretty equal on new tires. They're side by side still. Waiting for somebody to work it out. I know Brad's anxious. He's trying to figure out which lane to go with. He's wanting to keep it clean, but I think he's figured out he needs to be out front to have the best shot at keeping his car clean to bring home this championship.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the safest spot, right? His first position. So, he's definitely wanting to get by these guys. I think he has kind of settled in as we're now single file for the first, looks like at least 5 or 6 cars. You got Mikkel Robinson taking a look underneath Teddy Hodgson for 6th, but has to rescind his move there. But these guys in the top 5 are really, they are single file, but you can tell they're definitely going for it.
Yeah, they're throwing down laps. Nick Snyder just ran back-to-back fastest laps of the race, the last one being the fastest one overall. So these guys are going as hard as they can right now. They want to maintain that track position that they have. Brad looks like he's trying to make a move underneath John.
There he goes, and I think it's early enough in the run to you can make that bottom line work still, and Brad's going to try it here. We saw John Furness kind of run away with the lead early on, but I have to wonder, is he maybe saving some tire life for a possible long green flag run? Kind of maybe letting Nick Snyder run away with it, set the pace for a little while. Another thing to think about is track conditions. More rubber on the track. Track is still, like I said, 90 degrees from earlier, but sun not beating down on it. Do you think that the car's feeling is going to change as we've gone to darkness?
Absolutely, just like you said, laying the rubber down with the temperature slightly coming down, the heat of the sun not baking into the track. I think these cars are going to continue to get a little bit tighter. Um, we already had that tight condition coming off the corner, but I think these guys are pretty loose early on. This car may start to tighten up getting into the corner, and sounds weird, but that may actually help the tight condition coming off if you correct that freeness coming in. So we may get overall better grip, better handling race cars here. And I think John probably learned from early on where he looked like he pushed the car a little bit too hard. I think he's probably settling in here, just trying to stay fairly close to Nick and trying to conserve his tires. He may try to make a run here in the next 20 laps.
He definitely might. We're seeing these guys still single file out here, and I have noticed a couple guys like Gavin Rogers I've seen in a few corners. It looks like he's kind of diving into the corner a little too hard, because you almost see the car plow going straight and then kind of correct itself, as we do have a battle behind Gavin Rogers going on. Teddy Hodgson now side by side with Mikkel Robinson for 7th and 6th at the moment. Robinson goes up the hill. But, do you think you're definitely going to pay the price for overcharging the corner entry, even though you do have an increase in grip?
Yeah, you've always got to be conscious of how much you're pushing those front tires. Once you lose front tire grip, you're only going to start to wear your rear tires, and then it's just it's like a seesaw effort. You kill the front tires, then it kills the rear tires, and then you go back to killing the front tires. And it's not a fun game. So once you start to do that, your car is going to handle poorly. You're going to lose lap time, and you're just not going to be able to do anything that you want to with it.
Hodgson and Marin side by side right now for battling for that 6th spot. And Marin was an interesting story. He ran up in the top 3 for quite a bit of time at the beginning, kind of fell into the middle of the pack, and I think was involved in at least one of the cautions, and has kind of just settled into about the back portion of the top 5, but now trying to recover, as now all of a sudden we have a few sets of side by side here. And another thing about the increased grip in the track, JR, do you think that's going to make it harder to pass in general, knowing that both lanes are going to possibly be better than they have been all day?
I think early in the race, after a few laps, you could kind of see the high line come in, and you could kind of hold that guy down that was underneath you, and he was going to be getting loose or tight coming off the corner, depending on whether he was shifting or not. So I think that was very difficult to pass. I think now you're going to have pretty equal grooves working in. So at some point, I think you're going to see some guys get frustrated and start to push the envelope. You'll probably see some side-to-side contact in the corner.
That was some good 3-wide action there off of turn 2. Teddy Hodgson is loose off of turn 4, trying to stay in the gas and try to stay next to the 77 car of Rogers, but that was some really good racing there. Those guys gave each other enough racing room. Hodgson's going to dive it down into 1 and 2. Not going to be able to clear up, though, and explain the price that you pay when you try that slide job maneuver and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, it's a little aggravating. You know that you're faster. You're trying to do the slide job to clear the guy early, but when you dive into the corner hard like that, you've got to get the car slowed down more through the center, and when you do that, it just allows the guy on the outside to come back by. The one thing I do like seeing from Hodgson is it looks like he's using that apron just a little bit getting into turn 1. So he's trying to get the car to rotate and be able to maintain that bottom line. We actually see him all the way on the apron now, so he's really trying things here.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there with Mikkel Robinson there. He kind of, a little bit of Hodgson coming up and Robinson coming down at the same time there. Caused a little bit of contact. Everybody's going to keep going, though, but that's going to spread the field out just a little bit in that area. We're looking at Gavin Rogers, as he had to kind of fend off those guys for a bit. Marin got by him, but nobody else did. We're approaching the 25-lap left mark, JR, and Nick Snyder has a 9/10 of a second lead over John Furness, who has about a half-second lead over Brad Lane. And you think Brad is basically in the perfect position right now? He's got over a second to the drivers behind him, nobody really around him. Does he just kind of ride off into the sunset?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's in the spot. He knows what he can get out of his car as far as speed wise. I think he's decided to settle in here in the third spot, ride it out. And like you said, he's got a good gap in front of him, a good gap behind him. He doesn't have to worry about contact being made. He's the championship leader right now. No reason to do anything crazy.
Still some good battling. This has been the no change up in front. This has been the best battle here. You know, you got fourth and fifth, and then the guys in seventh and eighth have been going at it. Jordan Tanzel again seems to be fading on the longer run, and how about Sebastian Marin? I'm not sure where he restarted, but he has definitely been on the upcharge since this restart. Seems to be in a rhythm.
He absolutely is. His lap times are looking great compared to everybody else. He's at least a tenth of a second faster, sometimes 2/10. So whatever he's figured out, he's able to get a lot of it as this run goes on. We've already dropped off almost a full second from where we were after the pit stop, but his times are still looking good, and he's continuing to move forward.
He has gapped fifth place Tanzel by over a quarter second just in one lap, and you know, he might run him down, or run at least the podium finish down. Now, if you're Brad Lane, he's the next guy ahead of Marin. Do you just kind of step over and let this guy go?
Yeah, I would. So if you see a guy this late in the run catch you that fast, and you know there's nothing to be gained from trying to stay in front of him, you give him plenty of room and let him go by. You don't try to race him hard, especially if there's a gap behind him. Let him go, get back in behind him, get back into your rhythm.
Marin with a nice run here near the end of the race, but John Furness again, he's 1.1 seconds behind Nick Snyder last lap, and you know, I was wondering if Nick was overusing his stuff at the beginning of that run. He built up a little bit of a gap, and we knew that the guys around him were fast, but maybe Nick is just, I mean, he does have clean air, right? So that's going to help him give an advantage, but I think, you know, when he's out in front, he's smooth and just knows how to run quick lap times.
Yeah, he knows this track. He was clearly fast in practice. He knows what he needs to do, and once you get a little bit of a lead, you know, half a second to 1 second lead, you're just going to manage that lead. You're not going to try to push the car more than what you need to. Take care of your equipment just in case something crazy happens toward the end of the race.
There is a look at John Furness. Brad Lane's actually closed the gap last couple laps on Furness for the second place spot. It's down to less than 0.4 of a second now. And both of these guys are slightly losing time on Nick Snyder, and Sebastian Marin is now within 1 second of these guys. I just noticed Gavin Rogers has disconnected. I wonder what that was for, but we're going to be down to about 9 cars now on the lead lap. It looks like he just pulled it in, so it's a shame for the 77 car.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to get late into this race. Guys know that if they don't have an opportunity to get a decent finish, or if they're having some type of problem with their car, they're just going to go ahead and pull in so they don't affect the outcome of the race. Yeah, trying to watch this run here by Brad. He's definitely closed in on John. I think John may have overused his tires a little bit here, but a little bit interesting. Brad was slower that lap, so as he gets closer, some of that aero may be taking place as far as the entry of the corner, and you see him now. He's kind of running a different line, trying to get air on the nose there.
Now we can play the what if game here. If, you know, what if we do get a caution? I would think there wouldn't be a whole lot of pit strategy, right? You think everybody would take 4 tires and you would just go as hard as you can to the finish?
I think that that would be the logical thing to do. If you're somebody like Reggie Packard, though, I mean, who knows? Maybe take 2 tires. Maybe do something just a little bit different. You never know what might happen. You might get lucky, and your competition may have some issues.
It's a good point. You know, Packard has seemed to have lacked pace during this race, but he's played it safe. He's still in there. If we do get a caution, he could flip-flop up to the front, depending on his strategy, and maybe try something. We have just over, looks like 16 laps to go here. Nick Snyder's still out in the lead, and he is extending that lead continuously over John Furness. And however, one guy he's not pulling away from is Sebastian Marin, who is still gaining ever so slightly on the leaders, but really gaining on second and third place. He's now within about 7/10 of Brad Lane to get that final podium spot.
Yeah, it's not going to be much longer. We're going to have a trio racing for that second spot there. And it's weird. I think everybody's kind of moving around the track. They're trying to find just a little bit of extra grip, a little bit of extra speed, because I see lap times kind of flip-flopping. One lap, John's faster. Next lap, Sebastian's faster. So it's kind of moving around. But I think these guys are all going to come together in the next 5 to 10 laps here.
Well, Sebastian's definitely going to go as hard as he can. He's got less than 15 laps to get it done, as it looks like up ahead there's a little bit of lap traffic. That's Eric Shearer, who is 12 laps down in the 12th position. He may be able to gain at least one spot before this one finishes if he completes the rest of the laps. But Sebastian here catches him just after corner exit, so not a terrible place to catch him, and Martin will clear down into 3 and 4. But there hasn't been a whole lot of it tonight, but you get into a rhythm. How much does a lap car in front of you affect that rhythm?
Yeah, it can definitely throw you off. So, especially when the tires are wore and you're having to be very precise on what kind of line you're running and what kind of entry speed you're carrying into the corner. When you catch that lap car, even though you're a lot faster, it's extremely hard to pass. So you end up having to overdrive your car a little bit. You may miss your mark more than what you want it to, and it's very common that we see the two come together. So you got to be on your game when you catch a lap car, but at the same time you can't afford to be conservative. You got to attack.
Oh, John Furness nearly into the wall on exit of turn 2 there, but see the gap from Lane to Marin basically stabilized at 6 or 7/10 of a second. Lane sort of closing in on Furness again, but Snyder still he pulls away most laps, I'd say. And we have a caution with 11 laps to go. This will change everything.
This is a big game changer here. We'll look and see what the caution was for.
It looks like Teddy Hodgson just self-spun in turn 3 and 4. I saw he was pretty loose on the long run in the past. Earlier in this race, maybe just had to put a little too much rear brake. Well, maybe that was more like on throttle, too much on the throttle, and spun her around.
Yeah, he may have just had a shift go wrong there, trying to shift down and get a little bit more pace, and just brought the rear of the car around on him. But this is going to be very interesting here. Like you said, 10 laps to go. Who's going to pit? We expect everybody to take 4 tires, but if you're Reggie Packard, maybe you do something different, try to get some track position here.
Yeah, remember, it's take 4 tires if you have them, right? So I'm assuming that since these guys did pit, they probably all have at least one set remaining, as Michael Wilcox will follow these guys into the pits as well. But we could have a jumbled up order. I mean, at least the top 4, they're all pitting really close to each other in succession, so we'll have to keep an eye on these pit stops and see who gets out first. It looks like nobody is going to actually stay out here. Everybody is in. And there you go. Nick Snyder is away, and I think he will just barely beat out John Furness to be on point. And Brad Lane speeds away as well.
Yep, that was very close on pit exit there. John seems to be optimizing his pit time, so very close. He almost got the lead there, I think, but looks like Nick prevailed.
Yeah, Nick actually had the best time there in the pits that time by just about a quarter of a second. So good job by the number 9 crew to get him out in front. So Furness will be in second. Sebastian Marin, though, has leapfrogged into third. And I'm trying to find what happened to Brad Lane there. It doesn't appear like he's on the same area of the track. Yeah, he's towards the back.
I believe he's dropped back to 7th at the moment. A little bit odd, but he's still going to be ahead in the championship. So not sure what happened there, but we'll have to pay attention to that as we come to green.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, it looks like he just kind of got away out of his box slower than everybody else and just kind of dropped to the back, but now he's dropped back even further yet. So
You
that's an
know,
interesting one.
I'm wondering, Kenny, if he got a pit road speed penalty here and he's having to drop to the back for that.
Could very well be true. I mean, yeah, I think, yep, yeah, he did get speeding. I just heard it over the intercoms there. He did get caught for speeding. Good catch there, JR, as that may cause a little bit of change here in the championship, or at least make it close, as we're going to double up. I think the lights will go out on the pace car this time. They will. So we're going to have 6 laps to go in this one, and Reggie Packard has taken the championship lead by 1 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. He has. At the moment, I think you're going to have to see Brad be pretty aggressive here. We've only going to, we're going to have 5 or 6 laps here, so he's going to have to go hard. But when you do that, contact could be made. We could have an incident here. So Reggie could be looking pretty in the closing laps.
Here's one thing to think about too. You're going to have a fierce battle up front and a fierce battle in the back. These guys racing for the championship, they also got to be looking up in front for possible contact or wrecks up in front of them here in the last few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe we have unlimited cautions in this series, or unlimited cautions, unlimited green-white checkers in this series. So there could be a lot of restarts here if we start to get some aggressive racing.
Yes, we do. And green flag is out. They do go on the green in this series. And a good jump by the number 9, Nick Snyder, but a good jump by Furness as well. I forgot about that. These guys go on green every time, not on the leader. Dive down into turn 1 and 2, 2 by 2 for the first 3 rows. And Furness gets really loose, and he's going to nearly lose it. Tanzel on the outside, and we have a wreck behind him.
Yeah, big wreck back there in the back. So that's what we're talking about. These guys are going to go hard. Contact's going to be very likely.
What do you think there? Furness obviously got really loose there. Do you think him kind of checking up the field a little bit kind of led to that spin by the 18? Well, maybe the 18 got loose on his own.
Yeah, I think it probably had a little bit to do with the 18 and the car to his outside being more side by side coming off the corner. But the tires were fresh; they're very cold, and on cold tires, you got to get a lap or 2 in them to get the grip up to optimum force. So I think he just overpressed it on the exit of the corner on the throttle there, and the rear end snapped on him.
On that restart, Brad Lane moved up to 6th spot, and Reggie Packard now in 8th. So the championship has gone back into the favor of Brad Lane. But now, we're going to have another restart. Don't know if this will be a green-white checkered yet. We're definitely in that realm. But like you said earlier, JR, it's unlimited attempts at a green-white checkered if we need them. So this thing definitely not over. Looks like we are going to go to green in 2 laps here. But looking at the restart there, like with John Furness, for example, that big slide he had off at turn 2, with these fresh tires, how much does a slide like that negatively affect the grip that he's going to have on the next start?
Fortunately for him, I don't think it's going to affect him a whole lot because we got a caution almost immediately after that. So he's able to get his tires cooled back down. It'll take a little bit out of it, but I don't think it's going to be noticeable in the short run here. I think that's going to be more of a long run thing. So I think he's going to be good as long as he gets his thoughts and everything gathered back up and sets back in on hitting his marks. Jordan Tanzel, he's moved up to 2nd here. I think he's going to try to go hard because everybody wants to beat Nick Snyder. He's been pretty dominant the last couple of nights. They want to get ahead of him.
And we talked about Tanzel earlier, that he wasn't the greatest on long runs. Well, he doesn't need to be anymore. We have a really short run, and the lights are out on the pace car. This might be his first restart on the front row. I don't remember for certain, but this is his chance to take that AC Delco car up to the front. And these guys may be playing a little games here, being really close to each other on the pace laps here. But Tanzel's got a chance to go out and win this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that Nick is very fast, especially when he is by himself on the track. The thing that Jordan needs to do here is to kind of get in the Nick's head a little bit, which I think he's trying to do under caution. But if he can stay side by side with Nick going into turn 1 and try to hold him down, run the middle of the track through there, he may be able to cause Nick to overstep his bounds on cold tires. So you never know. You got to do what you need to do here. It's the closing laps. Jordan may be able to do something special.
2 laps to go in the Guys Using NASCAR Rules for Sim Racing B Series Championship. And here we go, green flag, and these guys are really close to each other off as we fire off here. Snyder down to the bottom. Sebastian Marin peeking to the outside. He's not going to be able to make it work. John Furness dives it down in there. These guys are still 2 by 2. Snyder just clears Tanzel off of turn 2. Tanzel sideways, saves it. Snyder's sideways. Oh, and they're wrecking. It's John Furness being tagged by Tanzel, and they're wrecking behind.
Oh, they are. I think Brad Lane got through, though, so this is going to put him in a nice position.
Yeah, Tanzel got really loose. Furness got really loose. You know, these guys all nearly lost it off of turn 2, and you could tell they just wanted to stay in the gas, and they just couldn't all keep it going straight at that point, and collected multiple drivers in that, and this is going to change the order again, and we'll have another restart.
Yeah, and these guys are wanting to go hard. It's the very end of the race. You've got tires that are fresh. They're pushing hard, but the tires are cold. And like I said, it's going to take a lap or 2 for them to come up and get optimal grip in them. So these guys are they're pushing hard, and it's just overstepping, especially on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, Michael Wilcox was involved in that, and Teddy Hodgson was involved in that, and he has exited the session. He's done for the night. We already said Tanzel was involved. Chris Gilbert was involved. One person that appeared to have gotten through, though, was the 18 of Mikkel Robinson. That was a pretty good avoidance there by the 18. Just shot straight through the middle. And also of note, Reggie Packard was sadly involved in that. He tried to stop, but ended up clobbering the 17 car momentarily. Should be able to continue, but it's going to put more of a damper on his championship hopes.
Absolutely, and Brad, it's the end of the race. He's Brad Lane's probably going to want to go hard, but I think at this point he just needs to be conservative, try to bring it home and get that championship. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to the 2 guys on the front here, Nick Snyder and Sebastian Marin.
And Sebastian, I don't think he's actually had a front row start tonight. He's had a lot of third place starts when he was up in the front near the beginning, but remember, Sebastian looked like the fastest car on the track there for a little while. So again, just like when we were mentioning Tanzel, another player up in the front row that could definitely steal this win away from Nick Snyder.
He can. Everything's here to be played for, and Nick's going to have to get a good restart. He got a good one on the last one. He did what he needed to going into turn 1 and kind of did the slide job moving up the track. But, when he did that, he kind of came right up in front of the second place car, and I think that just caused him, hey, I need to go, I need to get on the throttle. And at the same time, we don't know how much aero is coming into play here. If somebody's right on your back bumper, I'm sure it's taking some air off of that spoiler, even though we're not on one of the high-speed, high-bank tracks. So it's going to be touchy. You got to clear the guy when you make the pass, but you got to make sure that you got room and not overstep the bounds on the throttle.
John Furness is disconnected. He is now out of the race, so we're down to 7 cars on the lead lap. So come around to take the green one more time. Green flag is out. Snyder fires off. Again, these guys are pretty tight. How aggressive is Brad Lane going to be in third place? Right on the tail of Nick Snyder. He's going to look low. Got 3 lanes basically going here. Snyder clears into the lead down into turn 1 and 2, side by side for second place, side by side for for 4th and 5th. As Chris Gilbert up into the wall. Looks like he blinked out there, but he's going to keep going as we're battling for the lead going through into the white flag.
Absolutely. You see Sebastian trying to take a look here. Brad's paying attention to that. He's trying to make a pass on Sebastian as we go into turn 1. Looks like he's going to be able to clear him. Maybe not. Maybe not. Sebastian's pushing hard on the outside here.
Yeah, Sebastian really drove it in deep in turn 1 and 2. He's going to make that outside line work. He's going to clear back for second place. But it looks like diving down into turn 3 and 4, we're going to hit come to the checkered. Nick Snyder is going to sweep the Cup and Xfinity Series wins in the races. Sebastian Martin's second, and Brad Lane will be your B Series champion, finishing third. Mikael Robinson comes home fourth. Chris Gilbert in fifth place. Good recovery from him. I know he was involved in some accidents earlier. Jordan Tanzel in sixth. Reggie Packard in seventh as the second placed championship competitor. Jared, what do you think of that race? That was exciting.
It was definitely exciting. A lot more cautions than we expected. We did have a larger field, so not totally surprising, but definitely more cautions than I expected. And the finish was very exciting. Nobody was holding back or giving room. They were all racing for it. Looking
back at our we just had the results page up for on the screen. These guys are doing double donuts on the front stretch. Nicholas Snyder ends up winning the race. Sebastian Martin in second. Brad Lane third will win the championship. Mikael Robinson in fourth, about the highest up that he had been all day, so good run for him. Chris Gilbert in fifth. Jordan Tanzel in sixth. Reggie Packard seventh. And the final car on the lead lap. Michael Wilcox's first car off the lead lap. John Furness, very strong car, but didn't play out for him in ninth. Teddy Hodgson in 10th, JR.
Yep, coming home in 11th, we got Eric Scherer. 12th was Gavin Rogers. 13th was Logan Green. 14th was Bill Petroff. 15th was Ryan Blanchard. 16th, Ryan Cliver. 17th was Lucas Leone. And 18th was Dylan Hervatin.
So, JR, it was definitely an exciting race. He had pit strategy, had cautions, he had green-white checkers. Everything that's wrapped up into the normal, regular, real-life Xfinity Series, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Each and every week on TV, you see the Xfinity Series have a ton of strategy played into it. A lot of things that you might not expect. I think we saw some of the same tonight, especially with the caution that came out before lap 25. A little surprising to me who pitted and who didn't there.
Well, we will take a quick break, and after that, we will hopefully talk to our champion and our at least our race winner, and we will be right back.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
And we're back for our post-race coverage of the guys using NASCAR rules for sim racing B Series championship finale. JR, definitely a different feeling race than what we had on the Cup Series side yesterday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yesterday we didn't see a whole lot of cautions occurring. We saw guys kind of being conservative early on, probably because it was a longer race. Tonight, we had a big field, at least starting out, and guys were going hard. They wanted to win that race for sure.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of strategy. We had some wrecks in there. Talk about what it, would have been like for, and we'll ask him, but for Brad Lane when he had those, when he had to deal with like wrecks around him and things like that, just a lot of drama that could have taken these guys out of the running.
It definitely could have, and if you're one of those championship 4 guys, you're worried about that the entire time you're out there, especially if you're racing guys that you're not familiar with from earlier in the season. So these guys had to play it safe, I'm sure, early on, and we saw Brad kind of drop back to 5th or 6th, and I think that was by design. But ultimately, at the end of the race, when he knew where he was in the championship, he started to charge.
For sure. Well, I'm going to see if we're going to be able to get our champion in here with us. Okay, just bear with me for one moment. Brad Lane, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Brad, you are the champion in the B Series. You end up in P3, but you had what seemed like a pretty solid night amongst all the chaos. Talk about what it was like dealing with all the different drivers and a large field and all the wrecks that happened and the strategy. Talk about all that.
Yeah, it was a survival race for sure. I knew that kind of going into this, I saw the amount of drivers that were logged into this race and the unfamiliar names. I mean, I've never seen some of these guys before, and after about 8 or 9 laps, you can kind of tell the guys that are racing really aggressive and the ones that want to win it on lap 10. So I tried my best to kind of give guys room and kind of let them go up there and burn their tires up. But yeah, really no tire strategy in this race. I know that with 100 laps, 4 sets, I was looking to split the race up into 4 quarters. But yeah, I didn't have anything for Nick. I mean, he's been the class of the field for all 3 series, and just want to give a shout out to him for just kicking everybody's butt almost every week. But yeah, I mean, it was a good race. Got a speeding penalty on pit road that last stop, and not sure how or why I got that, but had to kind of bounce back from it.
Yeah, we did see that. Wasn't sure exactly what was happening, but we did figure it out. Did you kind of made sure you stayed calm though after that? I mean, you did fall into second in the championship at that point, but you were only like 1 spot behind it. What was your mentality after that and going into those final restarts?
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I knew that I could probably make up the spots, but I was more nervous about what was going to happen in front of me. As you can see on that, I don't know, 3 or 4 laps to go, that wreck on the back straightaway, and that I barely got by. I knew that how aggressive some of the guys were up front, and going for the win, and it was going to get rough. So got lucky there, but yeah, it was a little tense moment once I knew I got black flagged for speeding.
And we noticed when you were up towards the front, you mixed it up with the front guys a little bit. Did you? Were you thinking race win for quite a bit in that race, or were you trying to just play it smart and be cool?
Well, I mean, you can't really base everything off practice speeds or qualifying speeds, but I feel like I had, really good initial speed, which I think I've, the car took off really well after, new set of tires. But I don't know, I was just missing something. I was falling off a little bit. Me and Nick were talking about tire, percentages after we pitted, and the 2 other guys that we talked to on the radio, and I was always second, based on our tire percentages, and Nick was just so much better than me. But I went into this thinking I could win the race, but I just wanted to race it clean and just at least get a second or third place finish.
Well, you did that. You accomplished the podium position, and you also win the championship. So congratulations. Got anybody to thank for the run tonight in the season?
Yeah, I'd like to thank most of the guys that race with us week in and week out. We're not a big league this year. A lot of people just didn't really show up to race with us that much, but want to thank the guys that I talked to here and there. Chris, Jordan, Nick, we're all kind of always talking to each other, but everybody else, always clean. We never really have any arguments. Not a whole lot of wrecks, but yeah, just like to thank Eric too for running the league. And my parents watch a lot of races, and I got some friends that watch too, so I want to thank them for keeping me focused.
Well, we appreciate your time, Brad. A great season. Ran a very smart race tonight, and go enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I watched a little bit of the race that y'all broadcasted last night. Do a hell of a job, so we appreciate y'all coming on board for these last 2 races.
Thank you. That was Brad Lane, our champion. We'll see if we can get Nick Snyder in here to join us.
All right, we got Nick Snyder, our winner for tonight. The winner from last night also. Nick, tell us what it's like being able to win both of these races, and then also what track conditions were like tonight in the Xfinity car.
Man, what a night. Didn't start the night off pretty well. I got caught up in a wreck a couple times, and just at the beginning I was just way too tight. And once the sun went down, my car just came to life, and had to come through the field twice. But other than that, I'm just ecstatic, to win both nights. My hopes weren't really high once I kind of fell back to, qualified 6 and, fell back all the way to 17th, I think it was. My hope of winning it, I would have never thought of it.
Yeah, we saw you get into that contact early on. We kind of speculated what kind of strategy you may play there. Knew that you had to use the faster pair, but you came through the field in short order there. You moved through quickly, so very impressive. I do want to ask you, with the track changing, the car itself, the setup changing a little bit, did shifting ever come into play tonight? We thought that we saw you shifting out there.
Yeah. Once the sun kind of went down, was kind of when I started shifting. Track condition cooled down, but believe it or not, I was kind of loose throughout the whole end of that run. As the late race restarted, I about lost it coming out of 2 on the first initial restart for the green-white checkered, I believe. And like I said, when the sun was up, my car was I was just pushing the nose too hard and was just eating the right front up and just couldn't do anything with the top, 6 or 7 people. They were just pulling me little by little.
Yeah, we speculated that the cars would kind of go through a bit of a setup change there. I do want to ask you before we let you go, what was it like having to race? Obviously tonight we had a larger field than we did last night in the Cup race. So what was it like being in that larger field, but also racing with guys that you're not, familiar with racing with each and every week?
For the people, it's just like any ordinary race. You just don't treat everybody the same. Try to race clean as possible. Is it sketchy? Yeah, especially when you get in the back of the pack like me on lap 5. It's hairy because you don't know what those people are thinking, or if they're gonna dive bomb you. You don't know what to expect from them, and tonight really showed because there was a lot of dive bombs, a lot of people running that apron, going into one and just coming back up into the racing groove. I mean, our people, the people that we race with week in, week out, we don't do that. We try to treat everybody with respect. And, tonight we did get that. Eric made sure, not to take out the championship 4. Sucks that I can't win the Xfinity championship due to last night, but, to be able to clean sweep Phoenix, pretty proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Congratulations on the Cup championship last night and being able to win both races, both nights there. So congratulations to you on that. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to thank for this season?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a huge shout out to Eric for, putting on this small little league that we have. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here talking to each other. The people we race with week in, week out, Brad, Jordan, Chris, Eric, Reggie, just so many people to name. The race clean, week in and week out, and it's just a fun little group to be a part of.
Absolutely, man. We can tell that you guys race very hard, but very respectfully. So that's great to see. Again, congratulations, and we'll let you go with that. I'll throw it back over to Kenny to finish off the night.
Thank you, sir.
And those were our final interviews. A great season for these guys. Good wins by Nick Snyder, both last night and tonight. But real quick, we want to say that the B Series is sponsored by the Red Button Box, making quality 16 button boxes for iRacing and most racing simulators since 2018. 3D printed in the UK. Check them out at facebook.com/red-button-box. We're not done on VGN. This Friday will be the next broadcast for us. It'll be November 12th at 7:10 p.m. Eastern for the BRL Dirt Street Stocks at Fairbury. JR, you may be in that one, don't you think?
Yeah, I'll probably be in it. Hopefully have a better race than the week before. I was a little bit like a pinball, so hopefully it goes a little bit better. But always exciting racing at BRL on dirt. Got some great guys, some really, really fast guys in that.
Will be fun. But thanks everybody for watching. And again, this has been a production of Skidder Creek Motorsports Group and from Virtual Grip Network. I am Kenny Kibbe along with my co-host, J.R. Shepard, and we'll sign off and talk to you later. Thank you.